everybody, welcome back to our Thursday night demo. I'm excited to be back. It feels like I haven't been here for quite some time. Tonight we're making shakshuka, which I will tell you what that is in a sec, and we're also going to make Olive Rosemary Muffins, which I already made a batch. I do want to just mention that we're back to our regular COVID hours of 10 to 5, Monday through Saturday, 10 to 4 on Sundays. You can come into the store with a cloth mask on, or we're always happy to do curbside, and we will probably do that forever if anybody needs us to do that. So don't hesitate to give us a call, email, or come on in. So shakshuka is an egg dish that originated in North Africa, but it's kind of thought of more as a Middle Eastern meal now. You can have it for breakfast, you can have it for brunch, you can have it for a weeknight dinner. It's really easy to throw together. Usually you'll have everything right in your pantry, so should be quick and easy, and it's absolutely delicious. It's a tomato-based sauce, and I'm going to start putting it together right now. First, we want 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and I'm using our Ariston Greek extra virgin olive oil, which is delicious. And I'm just going to put this in a big saute pan, and I'm going to put that on a low heat and let that start heating up while I cut up my vegetables. The first thing we're going to put in is an onion, and it calls for a medium onion. You can put in a larger one or smaller one, whatever you want. It's not a super precise recipe, so it's pretty easy to just use what you've got on hand. The other thing is, this is tomato based, but that is an ugly onion. We're getting another one. It's a tomato based sauce, but you can always put in some kale, chopped up kale or spinach if you want to add some other vegetables to it. I mean, you could put anything you want in it. Traditionally doesn't have those, but I don't see any reason why we need to stick to tradition. We should eat what we want to eat. So this onion looks a lot better. And I'm gonna just dice this up. Again, it's not super precise. I'm not gonna do tiny mince. I'm not gonna use huge dice, just kind of a medium dice. And we're gonna put this right into the oil. And we just wanna let the onion and the pepper cook just a little bit so that the onion becomes a little bit translucent, and we're going to do that before we add the garlic because we don't want to risk burning the garlic. So there's our onion.
You can still hear.
And here's our red pepper. If you have a really giant red pepper, you can use that. If you have a smaller red pepper, you can use a couple of red peppers. If you love red pepper, you know, add a lot more. At the risk of repeating myself too much, it's not a precise recipe, so you can do anything you want with it. And again, I'm just going to dice this or chop this pretty small. Nice sharp knife to go through that pepper skin. I find pepper skins to be a little tough sometimes. So if your knife isn't going through that really smoothly, then you're going to want to sharpen your knife. Sharp knives are safer than dull knives. With a dull knife, it may bounce off or slide off what you're cutting and cut your finger instead of what you mean to be cutting. I'm just going to turn the heat up a little bit here. Get this going. So I made this for the first time over the weekend, and was really surprised, not really surprised, but I was delighted with how delicious it was. I did not eat a ton of it each time. I was only eating it with 1 or 2 people, and so I just put the sauce in the pan and put in whatever eggs I wanted, but let all of the sauce keep cooking. So by the third day, it was really nice and thick and just absolutely delicious and flavorful. So I would recommend, if you don't need to use the whole batch all at once, I would put whatever you don't need aside in a refrigerator, you know, leftover container, and just take out what you need when you want. And my plan at this point is to start keeping this in the fridge, make it maybe once every week or two, and then I can have it whenever I want it. It just makes a really nice, healthy breakfast, gives you a lot of energy to get you going. Traditionally, it's eaten with pita probably, which is more of a Middle Eastern, North African bread. But I thought we would try something different tonight, which is why we're making the muffins, which come out really good. Nice savory muffin. If you don't like black olives, you don't really need to put them in, but they do add that bit of nice salty, zingy, savory flavor to it. And they come out really fluffy and light. They're absolutely delicious. You don't even need butter on them. They're just wonderful. And they're great for sopping up the extra sauce from your eggs and your shakshuka. So if you're making this as a whole meal, I would recommend making the muffins first. I would make the sauce, then I would make the muffins and let the sauce just simmer. And once the muffins have just a few minutes left, then I would put the eggs in and put the whole thing right in the oven. You can do it on the stovetop, just covered, but your eggs will cook faster in the oven. Basically, you're just going to be poaching them in the tomato sauce. So I just want my onions to get a little bit translucent, just a little bit cooked here. And meanwhile, I'm going to grind up my garlic. If you've watched our demos before, you're familiar with the garlic twist. I just put my garlic in, squash it down, turn it a couple times, and you can turn this as much as you want to get a really, really nice puree. And this is my favorite garlic utensil. Really easy to clean, just swish it around in your hot soapy water once you're done with it and rinse it off and you're good to go. And I just use, as you can see, a fork, or if I'm being really careful, the tip of a paring knife to get the garlic out between the tines there. Okay. So again, I didn't want to really cook my garlic too much because I don't want it to brown and get bitter. So that's all set. I'm going to add a tablespoon of paprika. I'm using, of course, our Griffin Ridge. This is a really nice smoked paprika. I've got a tablespoon of that. I have a teaspoon of cumin. Oh, I can smell that already. It smells great. And then I'm going to use harissa, which is a Middle Eastern blend. It's very, very spicy. You don't need to use this. You can use a little cayenne. You can use chili powder. I'm not using a whole tablespoon of that. I'm just going to use about a quarter teaspoon. So you can make it spicy. If you like it spicy, make it spicy. If you don't like it spicy, don't add the spicy. Usually chili powder is not too spicy, so that's a good one to add if you don't like to burn your tongue. So there we are, all nice and coated. Let that cook just for a sec, and I'm going to open my tomato. This is just a can of crushed tomatoes. You can use just the peeled whole tomatoes, which you just have to break up when you get them into the pan. Or you can use fresh tomatoes if you want to, but you will have to let it simmer for quite a bit longer to get a lot of the liquid out, since fresh tomatoes are quite wet. And in we go. Hear that sizzle? And that is pretty much it, except for letting it simmer while we make our muffins. If you're not making muffins, I would still let it simmer for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Like I said, the longer it simmers, the nicer, the thicker the sauce gets. And just keep an eye on it. I have it on about a medium-low. I may turn it down a little bit in a few minutes. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt too. The recipe says salt to taste. I'm adding about maybe a half a teaspoon. And we can always add more if we need to, but it's not easy to take it out. We'll just stir that in. Okay. And then our muffins are, again, super quick and easy recipe here. We're going to measure out our dry ingredients, which is 2 cups of flour. And this is just regular all-purpose flour. I have, what do I have? I have 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Don't get your baking soda and baking powder confused. They do different things. And then we have rosemary, and I'm going to put in a tablespoon of rosemary dry. If you're using fresh, you'll use a little bit more, or if you love rosemary, you can use a little bit more. And I'm just going to crush this a little bit in my hand so you don't get those little twigs sticking in your teeth. And I'm just going to whisk that a little bit so all of the dry ingredients are incorporated. Simple. In my other bowl, I've got 2 eggs. That's a huge yolk. 2 beautiful eggs. 1 cup of buttermilk. Buttermilk, and 1/3 of a cup of olive oil. And you definitely want to use extra virgin here because you want that really good olive oil flavor. Now the recipe also says that you can sprinkle some Parmesan cheese on the top, which I don't have, and I haven't used that since I've made it, but I think it would be a fantastic addition. And I'm just whisking up my oil, my milk, and my eggs here. And if you want to come over here for this. So the recipe says do not overmix. And I was talking to Brian at WCLZ the other day, and he said, well, why don't you want to overmix it? And how do you know if it's overmixed? The reason you don't want to overmix it is because it can get kind of, the muffins would get kind of chewy. So it's kind of like making scones or anything. You just want to get it incorporated. And you can tell when it's done because you can't see any dry flour. So that is pretty close, and since I'm going to also add, excuse my arm, I'm adding my black olives, which I've chopped up. And these are, I think these are calamatas. And that is it. So really kind of just tossing in, folding in those olives and not mixing it too much because we want to have a nice light fluffy muffin. And the easiest way to do muffins is with a scoop. Which when I was growing up, this was an ice cream scoop. Nowadays, it's a cookie or muffin scoop. So, and I think this is maybe a 3 tablespoon. It's either 3 tablespoons or 1/4 cup, which is 4 tablespoons. And it's going to come out pretty close. Or it should anyway. It just makes it so much cleaner and easier when you scoop. You don't get batter all over the place and all over yourself, which I am apt to do. And that is almost exactly perfect. There. And those are all ready to go. I have my oven already heated up. So I'm going to pop these in, and they're going to go for about 18 to 20 minutes. You can stick a toothpick in, and if it comes out clean, then they're all ready. And those are going right up there. And then I'll take one of these racks out. So I'm going to put my eggs, my pan with the eggs, once I get them in, I'm going to put them right into the oven because I think they're going to cook a little bit faster. You may have to listen to me babbling for a few minutes, but it should be pretty quick. So what we're going to do here, I'm just going to turn these off, or just turn the sauce off, and you can see it's nice and thick on the bottom. A lot of the liquid has cooked out of it. And I am going to do 6 eggs. And I'm just going to crack it right into the tomato sauce. So this, you can serve 6 people with this. You can serve 6 people. You can serve 4, depending on how many eggs people like. If you don't like kind of the poached egg type of thing, you can always just fry an egg and put it on top. If you're doing it on the stovetop and you find that they're not cooking fast enough, even with a lid on, what I did the other day is I just took a spoon and I kind of did like basted eggs, where I just kind of spooned the sauce on top. So what I'm going to do now is put this right into the oven. And we'll see if I don't burn myself when I take these out, because I always take things out of the oven and then put my hand on them. So that's just maybe not going to fit. Okay, that's going to be fine. So that's there. Of course, I didn't set my timer, so I'm going to say they were probably in for, what, 3-4 minutes? So I'll set my timer. This is why cooking is so much fun. Set my timer for about 14 minutes. The eggs are actually not going to take that long to cook, but I'm not going to make you wait for the muffins to be done. As you can see, I have some here already. There's a lot of olive in there, and you can see the rosemary. I made these a little earlier today, and the staff was eating them and got some thumbs up, I think, from pretty much everybody. Great with, you could have them with pasta, you could have them with whatever, any egg dish really. You certainly don't need to make them just with the shakshuka. And what else can I babble about while those cook?
What's happening next week?
What's that?
What's happening next week?
Oh, next week's going to be really fun. Next week we have Mike, and he's going to be making silver dollar pancakes with a silver dollar pancake pan. The week after that is Avery. The week after that, I think we're either going to make chicken stew or we might attempt halva. I need to practice that one a little bit. And then the last Thursday of the month, we will have Avery Meyer back, and she's going to be making banana muffins with us. So that's going to be great fun as well. Those are not cooking very fast.
We can just
we may
post a picture.
Yeah, you'll see what they look like. You'll be able to tell when they're done. I do want to mention we have some great sales right now. All of our Christmas stuff is 50% off. Plus we have some beautiful items from Stowe, which are on sale. Some bowls, which my lovely assistant has just handed me. These are available in 2 sizes in green, red, and blue. Green, red, and blue. That's Mike, everybody. You all know Mike. These are awesome, beautiful dishes. We also have some baking dishes on sale as well. There's a set right here. We're also selling the pieces individually if you prefer that way. Again, we're open 10 to 5 Monday through Saturday, 10 to 4 on Sundays. And if you want to, you can kind of see how they're cooking. I think we'll, I won't keep babbling at you for too long, but you can see how the eggs are cooking in there. You can cover them. And then the other thing, the last thing is right before you serve them, you can sprinkle them with feta cheese or goat cheese, or you can put that in the oven as well. And then some cilantro or parsley on top just adds a little kick of color, and it looks really nice. And I think that's it. So we'll see you next Thursday with Mike for Silver Dollar Pancakes. Thanks for joining us, everyone.